Welcome to Kimappa. Another new we got a new promo every week at this stage. That was me touching Robbie. That is Robbie. This is Jarrod. We're here for another show. Do you want to talk about what's going on in the World Champions League of Masters or whatever it is you were playing in, or do we just skip that?
No, we can go. We can touch on it just a little bit if you want. So we've backed out
as a team, right? Not Harbijan on his own and the rest of you following?
No. It was all of us. It was a decision we came together, and we felt it was in the best interest of the team, of the country, and the emotions, because a lot of it is still very raw. And I know that people in this part of the world, it could be unrelatable, but for us, I think it's still very raw. And we just felt there needed to be some solidarity as far as this whole thing was concerned.
Yeah. Is it also partly because you didn't make many runs in the last game? Or?
I haven't made runs in this tournament at all. Yeah, it's been that kind of a tournament. But
I saw 1-6. Who did you hit your six off? Was that against Australia?
Yeah, I got some runs against Australia.
Who did you hit your six off? I need to rate this six.
Nathan Coulter-Nile.
Oh, that's all right. He must be.
I hit a few sixes in that game. I hit one against Peter Siddle, one against Coulter-Nile, one to Brett Lee. But Binger's always been someone I've preferred. He's got a lovely action. You can see the ball coming out of his hand so beautifully. It's just so nice. He's got a great slower ball though, man. He's got a great slower ball. He holds it in his right in there, and then he releases it normally, and it just it really gets you. It's a effective one. I don't see many people actually using it.
It's interesting. I remember in club cricket in Australia, that was always like a really popular one. And then when all the other sort of more fancy ones came along, that one disappeared. And I was always like, but surely this has to be slower, because we know that even putting the ball in your fingertips can change the way that it comes out a little bit, right? So
yeah, it does.
The difference of where it is in your hand should make a difference. So I can completely understand that. But it's good that you finally got some runs. What was it the South African one that was awful? Have we talked about this yet?
That was South Africa was awful, bro. That was that was terrible. I'll tell you why. Because obviously, when you're playing Legends cricket, it's a little bit more relaxed. I've played a few of these, right? And the intensity is not as much, but within what people can do, within their physical ability, they try and push to the best of their capacity, right? And that sense of competitiveness is still there, right? And more often than not, obviously for fast bowlers during the death, it's a lot harder to execute stuff because your body is not as much as it's with you generally than when it is whilst you're playing cricket. So death bowling batters have a much bigger advantage. And that's why you see a lot of runs being scored in the death. And so it's a little bit of fun. It's also a little bit of banter and this competition. It's a mix of a lot of things. It's nostalgia for the fans and all of that. For us, it's a great way of just getting together with our mates that we've played cricket with since we've been kids, right? So it's an overall exciting and warm feeling when you're here to play, when you're playing these Legends tournaments, especially the country ones. The country ones are actually the nicer way to go. So we turned up against South Africa, thinking, okay, it's going to be our first game, so it's going to be typical retired cricketers kind of tempo. South Africa had something else in their mind, yeah. They came and they meant business. AB ran, I think, 10 twos during the course of his first 30 runs, right? And we're like, AB, what are you doing, man? It's Legends cricket. Some of the guys, they're not getting around to the ball to throw it back, So, and Hardest Willian was bowling 145, 147 clicks. The wicket was green. It was also overcast, so the ball was swinging, seaming, and doing its thing. I think 4 of us chopped it onto our stumps because we were all hoping the ball would come on, but it was just holding on the wicket a little bit and seaming. So it was like one of those days where you go into a wicket and you're dancing for the first 40 minutes, and that was the kind of wicket that we played on. It was fun.
That sounds. I mean, it's really interesting the different ways. I remember I was talking to someone recently about this. having to keep your body fit when you've retired. So, so Mitchell Johnson Mitchell Johnson got buff when he stopped playing, right? Like, he started, I remember he put a video up going, beach weights, the first time he could look the way that he wanted to look. And then I was talking to him just before he was playing one of these leagues, and he's like, I have to like change my body again because I can't bowl in the size I was. And I remember when Chris Tremlett was playing for England in one of those leagues, and KP was saying, I'm not sure he can bend down to pick the ball up anymore. Like, he's not, for those who haven't seen, it's always worth Googling a picture of Chris Tremlett now compared to what he looked like when he was playing, because he looks like a transformer now.
No, he's much better now than he was last year. He was like that last year, right? But this year I think he's cut his weight down quite a bit, and he looks like he can actually utilize his skills.
Yeah, no, exactly. So it's some of those guys having to keep themselves in semi-cricket condition now, whereas especially the bowlers, whereas before you didn't worry about that. But this is now it's a good little earner. There's a few of these competitions coming up, and it's worth it. Plus, as you said, you're meeting all the people that you used to know. Some of them are coaches and directors of crickets, and all sorts of things. So there's certainly an element of all that going on. Anyway,
I'll tell you why it's important.
Rather than your old
wait.
But you're not even playing it anymore. So let's.
I'll tell you why these old men.
Oh,
okay, hang on. Can you hear me?
Sorry,
your headphones are gone. Yeah.
I'm back.
So I'll actually tell you why this is important, right? Or why this is a big cushion for cricketers when they finish playing cricket, and this is I'm coming at this from a very human angle, Jar. So this is I reckon when you do finish playing cricket professionally, whether it's international cricket or professionally, I reckon you go through a crisis of a lack of significance, a crisis of a lack of relevance, and a crisis of a lack of provision, right? And that is something that no one really empathizes with athletes about, right? It's a very personal journey that athletes have to endure during the course of them just finishing cricket. Now, if they haven't set themselves up for something after cricket, then they find themselves in a very, very, very hard place, because there's a huge drop in significance, there's a huge drop in relevance, and then suddenly, because you're not significant or relevant anymore within the sport, and your whole personality was built to play professional sport, and you've made it to a certain extent, and suddenly you are living a certain lifestyle because of that, because of your achievements and your prowesses at the professional cricket level or sport level. And so when you do finish, there's all of that goes out of the window, and then you really need to soul search and find yourself, right? And you really need to understand what your personality is, who you are as a person outside, beside the game, who you built yourself up for the last, since you were born, or since you were a young boy. Now you need to find relevance outside of the game of the sport that you're involved in, and that actually takes a toll. So tournaments like this gives you a little bit of cushion as far as provision is concerned, whilst you're still trying to rediscover yourself or figure out who you are outside of the game. So this genuinely is a blessing for a lot of cricketers, because it gives you the cushion to serve your family, to provide for your family, whilst figuring out who you are. And hopefully you land on your feet. And a lot of us don't land on our feet. We all go through these existential crises immediately or a year or two after the game. And you suddenly feel like, who am I, right? And this tournament takes away a little bit of the confusion, because you're earning at a certain volume till you're playing cricket you're playing sport at a professional level, and that drops significantly unless you're an MS Dhoni or a Virat Kohli or a Sachin Tendulkar.
And there aren't many players
and they're very few
more. You get the odd, obviously Michael Jordan, then you get some weird athletes, obviously like Lacoste and Greg Norman, who managed to make more money, but generally they don't. Also, someone has said here, a good old fat shaming. We're not fat shaming Chris Tremlett. Chris Tremlett was a bodybuilder. It's literally muscle shaming him. And
Google him, buddy.
Yeah. Google it to have a look at it. Also, Google it. Mitchell Johnson, it's the same thing. It's literally, the way he explained it to me was, And I remember when I once interviewed Srisat that he told me a similar thing, that when he built
Yeah.
up his body, he's like, I
I
can't
was
bowl
actually
anymore because my arms
I
are
was
like
actually
not in the
thinking.
right spot.
I was actually thinking of him when you were speaking about Chris.
Yeah.
I was actually thinking of Sri, because Sri actually built his body up for a movie, and then he couldn't bowl for nuts after that, and then he had to cut. Because
Dude,
his lats had become too big, so he couldn't get his arm through.
I saw him bowl in the nets because I was doing a piece on him and I met him at the gym, right? And he took me down to the nets later and he's going, I'm just doing warm ups, and I'm watching him going, I don't think he can bowl any faster than this. Like I would have happily faced him, right? Like, and I don't want to face an international bowler, but I would have happily faced him because I was like, this a little bit skiddy. Like, he's still strong, but it wasn't that quick or anything. So no, there's no doubt. That's what I mean. It's a whole new world that some of these guys have to do. All right. Let us move on now and talk about the fight back. I know that you're doing photo shoots and social media, and you're a big star over here and getting free meals in Birmingham, whatever it is that you do. But how much of India's fight back on days 4 and 5 did you watch?
Has his internet Oh, sorry. You got cut. I don't know if your internet's fixed, isn't it?
Yes.
Because you're
Unless I've got the wrong internet on.
No. Okay, you're fine. You're back again now. Okay, so you were saying, outside of the free meals I was eating, did I watch the test match? Was that what you asked?
Essentially, I was a lot ruder than that. But did you watch days 4 and 5? Did you watch the comeback?
In parts, because we actually were playing matches, so saw it in parts. So just followed it online. So whilst the match was going on, we had a television at where did we play the last game before Leicester? We played it at
Coventry or something?
No, not Coventry. Leeds. We played at Headingley. Yeah. So we were watching the game in the dressing room, and so we saw the fight back, and it was a proper fight back, wasn't it? To be 0 for 2 or 1 for 2, and from there 424 for 4. Ah, love it. It's everything that you want Indian cricket to be. And I think through the series, that's what's happened. I think the batting has stood up, and I think that augurs well for India. India really just have to figure out, I think, their bowling prowesses, and need to figure out who are their bowlers and who's going to stand up. Because this is ripe for fast bowlers with intent to say, okay, you know what, I'm going to put my hand up and be the next Indian red ball fast bowler that India need to win matches, to win test matches. And I think
it's not easy. I mean, to be fair to both sides, it's just not easy to take wickets on these pitches. It's not as if they are... This wicket was a weird one in that it had inconsistent bounce and the ball kept low a little bit, and there was that weird ridge at one end. But even within that, like, India probably underscored a little bit in the first innings. They had some chances, obviously, but England and India in the next 2 innings could have just batted forever. I think Bumrah called it a 20-day pitch. Right, where you could have gone forever. And if you have a look at this all the way through, even Lords, where we had the 2 low scores back to back, it wasn't easy to get wickets. It was just harder to score runs on those pitches, right?
It was and we spoke about that.
Yeah, and so you're seeing these bowlers in real time, and you look at someone like Cambodge who comes in. This is not a great wicket for someone of his speed to be bowling on, right? Chris Wokes has struggled at times. There's a lot of these bowlers are just really struggling with the fact that you have to almost manufacture wickets. And it's not surprising that Ben Stokes has been so good, because that's his best skill in Test cricket, right? His best skill for getting the great innings occasionally and the great fielding, his best skill is flat pitch bowling and finding a way to find a wicket when no one else can.
Yeah, because he digs deep, doesn't he? As in he's got this ability to say, the harder the conditions are, the more I thrive. And he operates, I think, from that kind of belief structure, where he's like, okay, is it challenging for everyone? Now it's going to be fun for me, and then he turns up. It takes a different mindset to operate, like to believe that you can do well on tracks that nobody else can do well on.
I take it a step further too. I think because he's not a full-time bowler, he tries more things in one spell. Like, he'll come in and he'll bowl like 4 big hooping outswingers to start an over. And then he'll be like, oh, okay, I'll go with short balls now. Oh, I'll go with Yorkers now. I'll go with off. Like, he's constantly trying things because he doesn't think like a bowler, right? He thinks more like a batter. And so it allows him to use all those skills. But he's still really skillful as a bowler. So he has all those options available to him, right? Like, you watch him go through of, I'm going to hit the pitch really hard now. Now I'm going to try and, float some outside off stump. Now I'm going to go for the LBW. A normal bowler isn't going through that many plans in like 2.5 overs, right? Like, that's not how the bowlers think.
I also think he's got I wouldn't say luxury, but I'd say the cushion of the fact that he's a mainstay, he's the superstar of English cricket. So that gives you a lot more leeway to be experimental with a lot of things you can do. And as captain, you're gonna he does things that the batters are not necessarily prepared for, like a 10-over spell or a 12-over spell, right? And you think, okay, he's bowled to lunch, and then okay, he's not gonna bowl now. Sure, right after lunch he comes in, he bowls another 4 overs or 5 overs again. He does stuff like that, and these are things that batters are not expecting. And I think those things also play a big part, because like I'm gonna wear you down with my intensity.
I think that's really interesting, because there's something I really wanted to ask you about his captaincy. I've played against captains who move the field quite a lot, right? And I'm a batter who's always hyper focused on the field, right? Like my next shot is determined in my brain by where the field is. That's how I bat, right? And not everyone does. Some people just play their best shots, and some people, do it that way. He changes the field so much, Robbie, that the mental effort that would be needed for some of these players to actually follow what he's doing, like, he's not even talking to the bowler. He's just changing the field. And there is a lot of ball following. That's the easy one to remember, right? Oh, I've hit the ball to mid-wicket. Now you put out a dip. But he's not even doing that. Sometimes he's just like, oh, we're going to have 3 short covers in now. And you're like, wait, why is he doing this? And in your brain, you're trying to work out, like, is there something? But the bowler doesn't even know what the plan is. Does that wear you down over a long innings?
And what have you landed with? Where have you landed with, that observation, Jarrod?
I still think I think because he does a bit of ball following, I think in my benefit, I would probably be saying to myself, well, all I need to do is hit this next ball here. He's going to put 2 short mid wickets in, and then I can get to my best shot, which is probably hitting through covers or mid off, right? Like in my mind, I would still be thinking that you can manipulate Ben Stokes, but I've never had to bat longer than 2.5 hours, right? You guys have to bat for 7, 8, 9, 10 hours, right? At what stage does that start to get in your head where you're just like, oh my God, will you just leave the field alone for 4 overs so I can play the same shots? So you tell me. I know in a short period of time, I always feel a captain who's moving the field a lot gives me a huge advantage. But I don't know if that would wear you out over a long period.
Well, I think what he's trying to do is, because he knows perhaps the wicket doesn't have much in it, he's trying to get the batter's focus to disperse a little bit, kind of go in different directions a little bit, so that like he might be doing a lot of changing, or seems like he's doing a lot of changing, but it probably can amount to nothing at the end. So he might move fine leg back this way, back to his left 5 feet, and then push him back 2 feet again this way. So he's moved them quite a bit, but he's back where he started from. But if he can draw the batsman's attention away to those changes constantly enough, he's hoping that during the course of the innings, he gets the batter to move his focus away long enough, and perhaps for just a couple of deliveries, where he's able to make an error, and that can result in a wicket for England. And these are tactics that actually are used by captains, and I've seen a lot of captains do that. MS does that sometimes during the course of a T20 game, where he just like keeps changing guys, like little to your left, little to your right. He'll be back to square one, but he's just played with the batter's mind, and so he's basically stolen time from him to be able to kind of come to stay with his plan or to modify his plan. And that's what he's done. He's rushed him a little. During the course of a T20 game. And that's cricket smarts, that happens. And a lot of captains do that. And as a batter, if you can stay detached from it in a 4-day game, because you know that, okay, this is what the wicket's doing, you know where the runs are available, you know what shots you can play. Unless your main scoring shots are blocked, then you don't necessarily have to see, okay, where are my next runs coming from? Because there's always a possibility of rotating the strike in Test cricket. There are always like gaps in front of the wicket. So if you defend the ball well enough, and if the intent is there to rotate the strike, you will be able to rotate the strike.
Yeah, no, I just think it's fascinating. I was wondering whether I could actually count how many changes he makes on a day, right? There's so many. And so I don't know. It's hard because I commentate now whether I'll be able to do it, but I might just keep a little notebook in front of me and try. And I love weird stuff like that. I absolutely love. I once counted. I went to a T20 game once to count how many balls an all-rounder got involved with. Do you remember Ricky Clark played for England a little bit and played for Surrey for a long time? And I counted every time he fielded the ball, even if it was a backup or whatever, to try and work out how many touches an all-rounder has who's a good fielder compared to a normal player. Like the stuff like that I really like doing, but it's much harder to do when you're on commentary, especially because you're running around it and doing everything else. But maybe I'll get a chance at the Oval.
But isn't he not playing the next game, Stokesy? I think.
Good point. Actually, it would be interesting to count how many Pope does in comparison. So I'm going to have to wait for another test now. You're right. That's so depressing. And I'll forget about it by then, and I'll be obsessed by something else, Robbie. Well done. Well,
we'll remind you. Don't worry.
I did look at the. I did look at the 11. It is a random 11 that England have put out, but India are probably going to have.
What is it?
Similarly, well, they've got Overton and Bethel have come in, so they're trying to cover Stokes. Yeah, so changing things around quite a bit, which is fair enough. It makes a lot of sense. But yeah, there's a lot of different changes in there. I wanted to talk to you about Bazball as a moral code.
Oh,
look at him. He's like, okay, we're going to get in trouble here. So I'm going to put this to you. I think England asking for the game to finish early is absolutely fine. Like both teams were tired, and that makes sense. I think the two batters batting on for their milestones, absolutely fine. They've done the hard work. You and I may not always think that milestones are the most important, but we understand why people celebrate them, and we also understand why you.
No, I think they're important, especially if you earn the right to get 100. I think you.
I'm saying
the right
I don't think. Yeah, no, I agree, but I'm saying we both understand that 99 and 100 are one run apart, where not all people within cricket kind of agree the same way that we would.
Yeah.
And then thirdly, I think it would have been okay for India to bat on for an extra hour. That's what I would have done as captain. I would have just been like, I want to absolutely 100%. Exhaust them, man, right?
Especially after the fact that they were giving Indians a hard time. I'd have been like, fuck that shit, bat. Bat through now. I would have done that. I would have rubbed it in their faces. Every opportunity I can rub it in an Englishman's face, I'd do it.
I'm really, really hoping that the one that we haven't been aggregated for a while, but I hope the aggregation just says, Robbie Atapa says, fuck that shit about English cricket. Crick Ecstasy, where are you? Please aggregate that. So I've got no problem with Stokes asking for the game to finish early. As I said, all three of those things for me are on the table. I probably would have batted on because I would have been like, I just want them to
see. The thing is, having a conversation is absolutely fine, right? Saying, okay, guys, there's not much to play for. Can we go off? And then telling them that, hey, listen, we've earned the right to score our hundreds here. We think we have to we deserve it. It's gonna be my mate's first 100. I've got 550s in this series. I've had a great series. I want to top it off as well. I've earned the right to score 100 here. So I think you guys should stay on for a little bit, and we're happy to leave after it.
Yeah.
But the fact that the players went after them, the likes of Duckett, Crawley for crying out loud, mate. What are you doing? Like, it's like so unnecessary. Like, and to say like a test 100's a test 100 is a test 100. Right? You're probably in the 1% of the cricketing world or 2% of the cricketing world if you get a test 100. So
yeah, maybe even more so, right? Like it's a big deal.
Yeah, it is a huge deal.
Yeah.
So
and you gotta.
So
So no, I've got no issue with that. The issue here is, as you said, Duckett and Crawley. Everyone's tired. You and I both know
Harry
what
broke.
it's like.
I was sad, man. Even Harry broke. I was just like.
But you and I both know what it's like to be out on the field for 2 straight days and be fielding and be tired and everything else. I'm more than happy for them to be a little bit pissy, right? I think that's acceptable for them to be pissy because you're just like, guys, come on, let's hit the showers, right? Let's get home to our families, right? That's fine. The issue here is, and I think Gideon Haig has written about this as well. And Sid Monga might have written about it too. It's this. We have now discovered this new way of playing cricket. And we're not about milestones anymore. And we're about the team. And we're about, partying and being aggressive and all this sort of stuff. So this doesn't matter to us anymore. So it shouldn't matter to you. This reminds me of like people who like find religion like halfway through their life. And they don't understand that no one else can find religion. It's like, look, I'm really happy for you. You're no longer a drug addict anymore. But I don't want to live my life that way because you sound really boring at the moment. And I'm going to go do the thing that I want to do because my life isn't fucked up. My life's fine. Your life is fucked up, right? And that's why you had to find religion. And that's what it's become. It's this moral code of Bazball, right? Of like, it's fine for you guys to want to play cricket that way. It's also fine for other people to want to play cricket their way. Stop bitching about how if people don't agree with you. That's the weirdness of this.
Yeah, and the thing is, it just felt weirdly familiar to us Indians, where we are being told what to do, or we're being told what we should be thinking like, or what we should be doing, and that's like really, like, what the heck, man? And you want to play your way, you play your way. If we want to play our way, and we've earned the right to stay on here, we want to stay on, and it's within the rules of the game. This is the same thing that happened when Ashwin was getting batters run out when they were cutting the crease. They were doing something illegal, like they were exposing themselves to be dismissed, and then whilst they're getting dismissed, you're standing on a moral high ground and saying, how can you do that? It's against the spirit of the game. You can't work on it can't be worked on your whims and fancies. There are a set of rules that are in place. We're following the freaking rules. You follow the freaking rules, stay within the lines, we're all good.
Laws. They called them laws, right?
Yeah.
But that's an important distinction. They thought so much of these things when they wrote them down, Robbie, that they called them laws, right? And then when people read those laws and interpret them, they're like, whoa, but there's this other thing as well that you have to understand. And you have grown up playing cricket in one area. I've grown up playing cricket somewhere else. Ben Stokes is somewhere else. None of us are going to have the same moral code. It would be impossible for us to have this moral code. And you see this in other sports as well, right? Like one of the best ones is in basketball. Watching the end of an NBA game when everyone's decided there's 30 seconds left on the clock and no one's going to try and score. And then one guy's like, oh, no one's watching. And he'll run to the basket and score. And he's like, that matters to me at the end of the year. Those extra couple of points, if I could do that a couple of times, it matters to me. It might help me feed my family. I don't care about your morals. I care about how I was brought up. And so this is what is so annoying about this. Cool, you found a new way to play cricket. We're all on board. You used to be a terrible side, and now you're winning twice as much before. Not everyone has to do it. Everyone is allowed to play their own way. And it was like when they were like making fun of Australia, when Australia had fielders out on the boundary. I'm like, you guys are going to slog. They're going to put fielders out on the boundary. That's how these things work. Like, don't sit there and go, oh, look how defensive Pat Cummins is. Yeah, Pat Cummins is a defensive dude. And you guys have already told everyone you're going to attack every ball. Like, he's going to do this. That's the thing that is so annoying with this, right? I don't mind him being upset. And I don't even mind them moaning on the field. Like, if it's the end of the day, you're moaning, whatever. But if you're moaning because the other team doesn't live up to your morals, fuck off.
Yeah, really. Absolutely. Fuck off. It's just like it's getting a bit much now, to be honest. I think it's like saying you can't eat non-vegetarian food because it's like it doesn't agree with your morals, right?
Yeah.
It's exactly like that. Like, how does it matter to you? As in, if I'm eating non-vegetarian food, you want to eat vegetarian food, we can happily coexist. You do what you want to do, I'll do what I want to do, as long as you're staying within the lines and the boundaries of what we've decided, or what's actually the laws.
Yeah.
How does it matter?
I've had that conversation quite a bit with vegetarians. And I'm pro-vegetarians. I think they're great. But don't try and take my steak away from me. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I forgot. Yeah, she's actually the worst. That's who you were really moaning about there, which I really enjoyed.
No,
if we could just do that, maybe send her a collab request on Insta. We'll see how we go. So that test is over, but I do have a couple of questions. First one, actually, they're both hard. Is Washington Sundar going to be a better batter or bowler?
Test cricket, better batter.
See, I think
I like Washi the batter. I really like him. I think he's a
that
very
drift,
underrated
man,
batter.
at that pace.
Oh, the drift is there. As now, let me not take that away from Washi. I think he's an incredibly improved bowler. But for him, will he be as successful as an Ashwin if he or a Harbhajan Singh? I would have to say, I don't see that happening at the moment.
Okay.
Can that happen? Okay. Absolutely. It absolutely can happen. But right now, I feel like he will be more of a batting all-rounder, because also Jaddu's coming to the back end of his career. He's almost at the end, like the fag end of his career, right? As far as Test cricket is concerned, because I've seen him as the Test matches have gone on. He's looked progressively more tired in each Test match. You can see the wear on him, right? And so I think he will be the ideal replacement in a sense in the long run for Jaddu.
No, I think he will be the replacement long run, and I think he'll be a fine number 7.
Yeah, 100%.
He does.
100%.
He does still bat in a way. It was funny watching him in that innings where, so he got worked over by the short ball at one stage, and I'm sitting there just going, "Get off strike, Get off strike. That's all you have to do here. And he wasn't. You could see in his mind, he's like, "Oh, I've got to bat on." It's like, no, you don't. A batter would just get off strike at this point, right? They would just push the ball on the offside. They would, get inside the line, try and turn one away. And he was trying to, weather the storm, which is what a good number 8 does, right? Where they're like, oh, I can get through this. And so a batter just like, if I'm at the other end, they're not going to get me out. And the other one was when Liam Dawson was working him over as well. There was one spell where Liam Dawson hit the foot marks a lot. I think maybe the ball was a little bit harder, so it was bouncing. So it wasn't just that it was spinning back; it was coming back at pace and bouncing up. And again, I was like, you don't have to be a martyr here, mate. You just have to get to the other end. And then Jadeja will do the same thing. And then after a while, Liam Dawson will stop hitting the foot marks over and over again because you can't.
And that's the thing, right? It's also, I think it's also about eras, right? And when you grew up. In what era you grew up, right? Because I think the younger blokes like to take everything head on, whereas the older blokes now more mature with age and they understand batsmanship that much more. They understand that it's futile to kind of take things head on, especially during the course of a test match. Sometimes it's about just taking the single, getting off strike. Like Sunil Gavaskar used to say, the best way to play the new ball is from the non-striker's end. That's something I've into every red ball game I've ever played in my life. Like, just get off strike, get in the non-striker's end. So the intent to rotate the strike is there. So if your partner is also batting like that, then you're not allowing the bowler to bowl to one batter constantly. So you're not allowing to get into a rhythm space, which I think is a great thing to do as a batter. So when you find yourself in a difficult position, you get under the ball or you get inside the line, just nudge the ball away, get off strike, and tell your partner, this is get off strike. I'm just phase of being a little uncomfortable, and have that communication with your partner, and then they'll take it on.
Yeah, so that's one of the things. Like watching him do that, I think he thinks like a bowler. But you're right. Maybe he doesn't quite have that ceiling of Harbhajan or Ashwin, right? Although he has a lot of skills. So I just think I wonder if he'll ever think as a batter. I think he'll always think as a guy who is a bit more like Jadeja does, right? Jadeja's got his own method.
I actually disagree with you. I actually think he thinks a lot more as a batter than a bowler. I actually think he takes it head on, right? I think he thinks of himself as a pure kind of 50-50 all-rounder, right? A batter and a bowler, not a batter who can bowl or a bowler who can bat. I think he perceives himself as a pure all-rounder who can bat as well as he can bowl. And I think there were limitations there, and he's worked extremely hard to build himself up to where he is at this point in time. So I think a little bit more time in the middle playing test matches, I think he'll mature even more. And I think we'll see these little nuances being added on to his game as time wears on.
I mean, I hope one day he becomes so good with the bat that we can go, do you remember that time he came in behind Lord Thakur? In the order. And it's funny because we've got a super chat that kind of, I'll bring it up now. Paul says, did you have to deal with Gambhir's clear fetish? I love fetish. Fetish is a good word, isn't it? For the left-right batting combos, it seems like to be his little version of Bazball. Has it worked against India from an analytical point of view?
Oh, great question, Parth. I actually think, does he have a, he's always, and I think that's something that works, especially in these versions of the game. I think, especially with the rules, the way the rules of the game is set up right now, the left and right combination, and the way the cricket's played right now, I think people have, or at least bowlers have lesser time to get into because of the left-right combination, right? Yeah. And the lesser time you and we all know it, bowlers are the one who wins you matches. So if you take a little bit of advantage away from them, you're giving yourself a little bit of an edge, right? And we see that with the Indian bowlers. Now, like, it doesn't necessarily have, like, it's left, right, and it is tall and short. So with Duckett and Crawley, right? So lines and lengths and everything changes every time they switch sides. And so that's a huge adjustment to make for a youngster coming in playing cricket at the highest levels. So it is an advantage, and I don't think it's his version of Bazball. I think it's something that's worked for him. Now it's like MS Dhoni taking the game to the last over. Like a lot of us feel like, why is he doing it? Because he can finish it in the 18th over. Why is he taking it the 20th over? Because he's done that and met success there multiple times.
No, I agree.
And career that has won him championships.
Yeah. No, I think that makes sense.
I don't think it's worked against India from an analytical point of view.
No, I wouldn't say it's worked against them. I just think that if there's
made them predictable, sure, but not worked against them.
Yeah, I think when you have a tactic like this, if it was really as correct as Gambhir's decisions make it out to be, everyone would kind of do it. Like it would be like baseball where they change the pitches, you know, for everything else. So I do think that he probably goes a bit too far with it. But I understand what he's doing. Just as an aside, Zach Crawley probably wouldn't have a test career if Ben Duckett wasn't 5'2" and left-handed. Because I think the advantage that Crawley gets is he gets so many balls that are just not quite where they should be when people are bowling to him. Compared to another opener. And it's a tiny thing that we talk about, but he's struggling to be a test cricketer even as it is, and he's got the best advantage that we've ever seen. Anyway.
And vice versa, right? And vice versa as well. I think Ben Duckett thrives because of the lengths that bowlers are trying to bowl to Zach Crawley. But they're trying to pitch the ball slightly more. Yeah, he would have been in the side, but I think his game's a little bit better. And so he knows that if the ball's hit back of a length for Crawley, that's a short ball to him, whether it's on his body or if it's outside the off stump. Right? That's why his back foot game is so strong. He's kind of set his game up for that Zach Crawley's back of a length delivery.
No, 100%. All right, so we've done Washi. I've got another all-rounder question for you. Let's go back in time to 2010. You had the choice of picking one of these players. Ben Stokes or Ravi Jadeja. To only test cricket. Who do you pick?
Ben Stokes. In 2010, Ben Stokes.
So,
because I think, I think simply because I think Jaddu actually matured with time, and if I had to pick between Stokes and Jadeja, I think Stokes was a lot more refined perhaps then than Jaddu was, and Jaddu was a work in progress. I think he got a nice long rope.
I think he would have been though. In international cricket, whereas when does Stokes start playing international cricket? Yeah, so Stokes doesn't start playing to 2011. So in some ways you're penalising Jaddu for being in international cricket before then. But I know what you mean. I kind of understand your general thinking there as well. The thing with the seam bowling all-rounder is part of the
seam bowling all-rounder, right? And that's the thing. It's such a rare commodity in Test cricket, right? And that's why there's a much larger utility with a fast bowling all-rounder than a spin all-rounder in that sense, because your utility in say games away from home, die down quite a bit. Especially if you're playing on seaming conditions, then you become a defensive bowler. You become a filler, so to speak. And for a good part of Jaddu's career, he did play that role, and he played that role really well, because the one thing that he used to his advantage is the fact that he was run through overs very, very quickly, right? And that gave batters very little time to prepare again for the fast bowler at the other end, or Ashwin at the other end for that matter. So he was a great support bowler, a great partnership bowler in that sense. So he had his advantages, but Jaddu also took his time to mature into the cricketer that we see over the last 7 years.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. I think if I'm picking a cricket team and I know everything about both of them, I would probably pick Stokes for Test cricket, because you get his slip fielding as well, right? So you get a world-class slip fielder.
But Jaddu's...
but it's outfielding. So if I'm doing Test
but
cricket...
Jaddu never fielded in the slips because of his finger, right? Yeah.
Yeah. No. But I'm just saying that's a difference that I would be thinking in my head, because slip fielders are so much more important in Test cricket. But I still think I would pick Jaddu over Stokesy, just because I think you get a lot more consistency of performance, so you know exactly what kind of play that you are going to get over a long period of time.
But not back
it
in
might
2010.
Be slightly more limited. No, but I'm saying you have to pick them in 2010 for the next 15 years, right? So I want someone who's going to be around.
Oh, I thought only in 2010.
No, for the whole time. Oh, now he's changing. Look at him. I brought him around. We need thinking music. Don't put thinking music.
I actually think I would have still picked Stokesy because of his match winning ability. He had the ability to spin test matches on its head individually.
Well, I thought you would mention this, and this is what I wanted to bring up. Jadeja has almost won a test match from nowhere a week and a half ago, and then drawn a test from nowhere. But he doesn't do it dramatically like Stokes does it, right? Like no one's going to sing operas about what we just saw. Whereas when Stokes does it, it's like you're almost bawling your eyes out all the way through. But Jadeja still does it. And I wonder if Jadeja probably sets more games up for India. And what Stokes does is come to pull more games back for England. And which one is more important might have something to do with the team you have or your personality or what you like in cricket. Whereas, like, no one would say Jadeja is a flashy player, but he's not Stokes. Stokes is absolute box office every second he's in the field, right? And so, you know, I wonder how much of that all plays the part in where you go. Because I still think that Jadeja is, like, at the end of their careers, I'm going to rate Jadeja higher than Stokes, unless something massively changes in the next couple of years. And it might, because Stokes is now bowling at the level that I think he always should have been bowling at. But
correct.
At the moment, I would definitely have Jadeja over Stokes for an overall career.
Interesting. Overall career.
Yeah, I think so, in Test cricket.
Yeah.
But there's not much between them now, is there? If Stokes bowls like this, if Stokes bowls the way he is now for the next 2 years, you have to start to think, well, wait a minute, this is the Stokes that has finally been actualized, right? Like because when he was young and fast with the ball, he wasn't always that useful because he wasn't particularly accurate and he could spray it around a little bit and everything else. But now he's bowling like a smart old guy with this new body of his that you and I have talked about, right? Like I just think it's a really fascinating question because a lot of it is not really who is better. It's what you view as more important. And as you said, the fast bowling all-rounder thing is really important because it just, the whole idea of all-rounders is they give you versatility. Stokes gives you more versatility than a spinner. It's probably why Garfield Sobers is the most complete cricketer, right? Because he gives you he can bat anywhere from 3 to 7, and he can field in every position, and he can bowl every kind of bowling that you need, right? That he is the most versatile cricketer. And then you've got guys like Stokes and Jadeja who are great all rounders, but they're limited in some of the things that they can do, right? You know, they're not as fluid as someone like Sobers is. Anyway, I thought you would like that.
Interesting.
I've got a question for you that I thought up before. We always hear who would bat for your life, right? That's a big thing. Who would you want to bat for your life? The correct answer is always Shahid Afridi because you want a fun life. But that's a different conversation for a different day, right? Robbie is not taking that.
No, not in a million years.
If you had to pick someone to bowl for your life, right? And it has to be, they have to get a wicket as soon as possible, right? For you to be able to live, right? Any era, you can pick someone in their peak, you can pick someone anywhere, but you don't know who they're bowling against, right hand, left hand, tail end or top order. You don't know what the pitch is like. Who would you pick to bowl for your life?
Wow.
I thought you'd like this one.
Jasprit Bumrah.
Yeah, that's a very good choice. I have him in my top 3.
The second name that came to my mind was Malcolm Marshall.
Oh, that's good too. I didn't have him. I had Waqar Younis, peak Waqar Younis.
Ooh.
Because I just think you're just taking the pitch out of play there, right? And you're just like, you're probably going to get it. Yeah, Wasim Akram. Rabada. Sid Barnes, if you want to go back for an old-fashioned one, because Sid Barnes could bowl seam up, spin, everything, you know, like he had every skill available to him. So I think he would have been another good one. I don't think you want someone like McGrath or Hadley because I think or Jimmy Anderson, I think they take too long to get their wickets. I think you need someone a bit more explosive, right? You don't want to be sitting there. I'm assuming we're sitting on the boundary here, Robbie, you and I, And, we've picked this player. We don't want it to go on for a long period. We don't want Glenn
we
McGrath to set this player. You don't want Vernon Philander going, I'm going to bowl 4 balls that go this way. No, I just want you to blast through this person as quickly as physically possible. So I think Rabada, Bumrah, Waqar, Wasim, Malcolm Marshall, those sort of guys are almost peak at that, right?
Yeah. Andy Roberts is...
So Andy Roberts is an interesting one because he's a bit more of a setup bowler again, Andy Roberts. So, Andy Roberts is the guy that kind of invents the 2 bouncer theory, right? The bouncer that you see and the bouncer that you don't see.
Yeah.
So he would bowl the first one, get hooked, and then walk back to his mark trying not to smile, knowing the next one's going to be 4 times as quick, right?
Yeah.
I don't want a setup guy. I just want you to get there as quickly as possible because I just think I would be shitting myself all the way through. Now, we've all picked seam bowlers here. If you had to pick a spinner, who's the spinner that you pick?
Peak Anil Kumble.
Peak Anil Kumble. I like that. That I did not expect that because he's a guy who I looked at this recently. The amount of balls he had to bowl to get a wicket in Test cricket, he really had to do the work. So I was thinking Murali because Murali's the guy that's he's gonna. His ability to sort of take wickets like he's using a machine gun is unlike other spinners. So I don't want Warren. I don't want Warren sitting there telling me how he's going to get the wicket, Robbie. Right? I just want Murali coming in and bowling and getting the wicket. Kumble's a good one. I thought Ashwin as well. And
Ashwin's good as well.
Yeah, I thought he was another one. And some of those old English spinners who bowl really, really fast on wet wickets. Like I like them as well of just being like
Ray Illingworth and all.
I was more thinking Laker and Underwood. Those sort of
yeah. You know what I was also thinking, as in even Chandrasekhar. PSL. Oh, he would have been awesome because he bowled much like Anil Kumble. He was quick through the air, flippers, leggies, googlies at pace, right? Like 110 kilometers an hour pace, and like ball would turn like that much, like proper turn.
No, he's a very good. He's a good choice. You don't want to go Bisham Beatty, as much as I love Bisham Beatty, just because, again, there's a lot of him telling you how good it would be. But also, the ball takes an hour out of his hand to get there, Robbie. You have to bowl quicker. Another good old one would be Bill O'Reilly. He was the original fast leg spinner, Bill O'Reilly, and he came in like a fast bowler and bowled leg spin. And I think his bowling average is like 21 or 22, but we lost a lot of him to the war. Anyway, if you want to put in your comments who you want to bowl for your life, feel free. I think that's very, very good. All right. Did you see that Kane Williamson is not playing for New Zealand this week? Have you been following this?
In Test cricket? No, I don't know.
Yeah. So I don't know how I missed it as well. Although, to be honest, I have basically been sleeping ever since the last test. So it is possible that I was just asleep the whole time. But they're playing Zimbabwe at the moment. They bowled out Zimbabwe for 149. And they are 68 without loss. So at the moment, you'd have to say they don't necessarily need him. And they've done very well. But it's interesting that Kane Williamson not playing for New Zealand hasn't got the same sort of press or talk. And I wonder if it's just that as a cricket society, we've moved on a little bit now. And we just accept that some players are not going to play always for their country. Or whether it's because it's Williamson and he's held in a different regard than maybe some other players are. But I thought it was really weird that like up until a couple of hours ago, you and I had not even noticed this, and you and I follow a lot of this stuff.
You know who would have jumped on that Zimbabwe tour if that was on? Like a highly rated cricketer, Babar Azam.
What, to get some runs?
Because he scored a lot of runs against them, hasn't he? And I also think, jokes aside, I think Kane probably would have thought, is also someone who's coming back from an injury, and that tennis elbow injury has been quite iffy, and maybe something has spurred on again from that.
He's playing county cricket.
Oh, he's playing county cricket? If he is, then he'll probably thought it's the same thing. So let the youngsters get an opportunity, and I'll play the more important ones.
I wonder if is it possible he's getting more money because he's playing for Middlesex and he's playing for the 100 team as a package. He's probably getting a lot more money than he'd get for New Zealand.
Possibly.
In that as well, right?
And these are life decisions that the cricketers have to make, right? As in these are decisions that one has to make whilst they're playing cricket. Because again, like I said earlier at the start of the show, that it's a short career. So you got to make decisions that serve your family as well at the end of the day.
Yeah, I just think we're reaching a point where I think we're more mature as cricket fans now than we have been. You're not a cricket fan, but like as cricket fans now in that sort
I
of
am a
stuff.
cricket fan. What are you talking about?
No, you hate cricket. You told me the other day, but
What
no,
the
I
heck,
mean
dude?
you're no, but you are a cricket player, so you're behind the curtain already, right? So you know what it's like for a fast bowler to run in with no knees, and players to play on when their arms hurting and all that sort of stuff. Whereas if you're a fan, I mean, we saw Gautam Gambhir's comments this week about how the biggest pain you can have is losing a game for your country, which I don't know. If Rishabh Pant had gone out to bat with a broken foot and got hit with a Yorker, I think that would have been a bigger pain, personally, than losing a game for my country. Because you lose games for your country all the time. That's what professionals do. They win games and they lose games for their country. So, but we are now more understanding that these are professionals and they are making decisions. And if you're Kane Williamson, he's clearly moving towards the sort of coach part of his career, would be my guess, right? And so he's going to make some decisions that are better for him personally than he might have early on, where he would be like, New Zealand comes first, second, and third.
Yeah, for sure. And I think you as you know that your time is coming to an end, then a lot of those choices and a lot of the decisions you make are also slightly financially driven, because you know that the income or the provision for as far as that is concerned is not going to be the same at the same volume. So you do make a little bit more informed decisions when you're at that stage of your career, because you've also kind of earned the right, to be honest. And also perhaps there could be a value additional perspective where you're saying, okay, for a tour like this, they don't need my experience. Perhaps it's a great opportunity for a youngster to go in there and feel what Test cricket's like. So probably you're killing a lot of birds with one stone. So I'm like, okay, take this opportunity. So where it's a win-win for everybody.
I could tell you that Matt Henry killed a lot of birds with one stone. 6 for 39 he took over there. So if you're taking Matt Henry, maybe you don't need many more players. In fact, Matt Henry, he can make 30 odd on his own as well.
Yeah, he's not bad with the bat. But I'll tell you what I'm happy about is the fact that Zimbabwe are getting to play a lot of cricket. I think this is good for them, where they play against good sides. They expose their youngsters to playing decent level of cricket, and I hope that there are coaches good enough there to be able to instill the learnings that they can learn from this experience of playing these good sides. And they've played good sides over the last 6 months, which is great.
Yeah, they played lots of good cricket. I think what we are seeing is we're seeing the first generation of kind of after Mugabe. So obviously Mugabe uses cricket as a tool, right? Like politically quite a bit all the way through his reign. Early on to make it seem like he's slightly better leader than he is. And then later on he uses it, as a, in a bad way politically. But I don't know if you've ever seen that quote, but Mugabe says, cricket is a game of gentlemen and I want Zimbabwe to be a nation of gentlemen. We've already discussed the gentleman comment is already horrendous, but also he did not want them to be a nation of gentlemen. He wanted it to be a nation of people who like Robert Mugabe. Which is a very different kind of people, all things considered. And I think now that I know as he was getting on and he was eventually pushed aside, but I think it probably takes a little while for his death to happen and then for the new political parties to move on. From the outside, it feels like Zimbabwe cricket is trying to do the right thing now. And as you said, they are playing cricket. And there's no problem with the coaches, because their coaches coach all around the world, as you said before. We know that they know cricket. It's just that they haven't always been able to keep the best players or the best coaches around. So hopefully this new generation is coming through. And there's some really talented players,
there's some very good
available
players
to them. Yeah. And they don't even have access to all their best players, because some of them are still off playing in county cricket in other places. And one of them's playing in a college, I think, in the UK playing cricket, right? Like they should still be even stronger than they are at the moment. And who knows, if Bryden Carter gets dropped by England, he can go back and play. There's 2 more Curran brothers that they can pick in a little while as well. Like there are other Zimbabweans available if they choose to go down that path.
Yeah, but I think a lot in the Zimbabwean cricket will have to change for guys like this to go back to their home country and actually play. There would have to be like a little bit of a cricket revolution there for that to happen.
Well, I mean, I think seeing Ben Curran go back is already a good sign, isn't it? Because he's a fringe county player, and the fact that he's like, no, it's worth me going back, I think tells you that there's something good happening there. It's still
it's a beautiful country, man.
Back.
It's a beautiful country. I've been there twice in the last 2 years. I love the people. I love that country. It's like something so nice about that country, something so warm about that country.
Okay. Oh, let's finish up with one last one. What do you think of Root potentially scoring more runs than Sachin Tendulkar? Right? Like, well, how does it make you feel as a cricket fan, as someone who grew up playing with Sachin and everything else, and watching him play? How did it? Because I wonder, I sort of wondered what your view was on this, because it's looking more and more likely, right? Like, unless he gets a massive injury or just decides he wants to go and be a golfer,
He's done.
both of these things are possible. He should be able to do it.
Yeah, I think he will do it. And I think it's. I genuinely have always believed that records are meant to be broken. I think we feel, and I think Sachin Paji and Virat Kohli are a huge testimony to that. We thought it'll take decades before we find another Sachin Tendulkar, and then here hops along Virat Kohli and becomes the greatest, perhaps, white ball batter to have ever played cricket, arguably. And I think the same with Joe Root. Yeah, and Joe Root came into the scene quietly with a lot of potential. Came there, earned his stripes, played cricket quietly, has gone on to become as good as he has, and today is touted as one of the best players one of the best batters to have ever batted, right? And I think especially the fact that he started playing from 2011, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, I think you're right.
When he made his debut? 2010, 2011?
Yeah, it would have been
same time as
11
Stokesy,
or 12, isn't it? Yeah, it's around
just
that period.
before Stokesy, I think. They were all from perhaps the same batch. So the fact that he's been able to do this in 14 years and, always kind of prioritize Test cricket for that matter in this postmodern era of cricket, I think is phenomenal. And he's basically reaping the fruits of his choices, and he's an absolute stalwart, man. And he's moved and transitioned his game with the transition of English cricket as well, from traditional English cricket to Bazball, to finding a modicum of balance between the two, which I think is phenomenal. So I think he deserves it. If he goes past Sachin Paji, he deserves it, absolutely. And if he does it, I think he'll do it in lesser time, in lesser Test matches, perhaps.
What do you think of counting stats in general? So I had this message from someone on Instagram this week going, you never talk about counting stats. They're really, really important. And as someone who does this job, so I can tell you this for a fact. Jack Hobbs played Test cricket for 22 years, right? And he makes 5,500 runs. So there's a war in the middle of it. So not just his fault. If he played as many tests as Root per year, which is 12, Root plays 12 test matches a year, he would have played, let's say, 250 matches and made 20k runs, right? Sobers never plays 10 test matches in a single calendar year, right? But his test career is 7 years longer than Root's at the moment. Root might still catch up, of course. And Sachin plays 8 tests a year, so about a third less than what Sachin does, right? I know how hard it is to make each individual run in Test cricket and to take each wicket, right? Like, I understand that, and to prepare yourself. So I never want to discount people who have great counting stats. But we also know that Jimmy Anderson and Joe Root are also on this list because of the amount of Test cricket they played in a shorter period of time. Like, that's part of the reason that they have the record they have. They still have to be great to do what they did, right? And, and it's remarkable what both of them did. But there's always a nagging thing in the back of my head of like, okay, what would Dale Steyn have done if he'd played a similar amount of Test matches to Jimmy Anderson, being in a similar kind of professional backroom stuff as Jimmy Anderson compared to what was going on in South Africa, right? I don't want to have a go at Jimmy because, as I said, I know how hard it is to run in each individual time and take a wicket. But you understand what I'm saying with this. It's a weird thing that we have chosen to care about.
But it's also so relative, right? I think it's like, say, comparing, or, I think to have played a lot more Test matches in a shorter span of time means the body is taking that much more toll. On one end, you're like, okay, you can continue good form back to back because you're playing a lot more cricket whilst being in good form. But on the other end, physically and emotionally, it's taking that much more of a toll. It's taking that much more away from you, right? And you're not considering time away from family, the sacrifices that are made in that period of time, the emotional toll that takes on you. So they're managing all of those aspects. Now, with bowlers, I think it's unfair to compare, because even Jimmy Anderson and Dale Steyn, two very different type of bowlers in a sense, right? Because Stenky was an out and out, like, proper gun, quick, fast bowler. So body took a lot more toll.
To be fair, Jimmy was pretty quick when he was young too. Jimmy was over 100 miles an hour.
But Steyn was quick.
But not for as long. Yeah, fair.
Steyn was quick from the start to the end. He was pretty much there and thereabouts, right? So he is what you would consider one of the greatest quick fast bowlers who's played the game, right? With the likes of Brett Lee, Sean Tate or Shoaib Akhtar, the ones who are right up there, right? Like really quick, 150 plus with the new ball, had the ability to get wickets. It's with that, got 392 wickets with that, like an Alan Donald and all that. So you always peg him there, right? Those much, but you'd peg a Jimmy Anderson with a Glenn McGrath, right? Because they were quick when they started, but they got to a place where they found their space and they stayed in that space for the rest of their career. So the toll that it took on its body was not as much as the toll an out and out fast bowler would have. You know what I mean?
No, I get that.
So I think that it would be unfair to both Jimmy and to Steyn to compare them with each other in that sense, because even though they're both fast bowlers.
I'm not comparing them, but what I'm saying is, if it doesn't matter who the fast bowler is, if you play for Australia, India, or England, you're going to play a lot more test matches, and so your counting stats are always going to be higher, right? And it's the same with it's the same with a lot of the Asian players who played a lot of one days in the 90s, right? They have these huge totals, right? And we end up getting a bit fixated with that. I also know the other side of it, as you said. Being famous for 20 years, having to travel and having to get your body right and everything else. It's an interesting one, and everyone has different views on whether how highly they rate that kind of thing.
I think stats are a great thing to observe, but I don't think stats are everything.
How dare you, sir?
I had to kind of put that in there at some point.
Anyway, this is the last Kimappa. Kunal says, no amount of training can make you Usain Bolt, but 100-meter sprinters are born. How is it in cricket? Can I make my son play IPL just by brute force training? No, I don't think you can.
You can't, but you can give themselves a good chance to get there. You can build fast twitch fibers, I think, to a certain degree, if you're already predisposed to it. One of the things that I've absolutely believed, and we've done that with our son, is I think we've enabled him to utilize his athletic abilities to the best of his ability. What we did is we put him into gymnastics at a very young age. So he was 4 months old when we put him into gymnastics. So he went to a little gym, learned how to tumble and roll and crawl and all of that. And now he's progressed to parkour from gymnastics. So he's learned, and for you to do gymnastics and do a front flip and a back flip, and you need to generate pace. You need to build and develop your fast twitch fibers that already exist in there, right? So if you can expose your kids to athletic abilities, and for me, I honestly believe gymnastics is not a sport. I think it's a life skill. I think it's as important as swimming, because the ability to fall right. To have the ability to fall right is also an important life skill, because you're walking down the road and someone like comes and hits you from the back. If you are innately trained by doing gymnastics to not land fully on your chest but to roll over on your back and cushion the fall, right? That can happen to anybody. You can trip and fall, you can trip over yourself, but whilst falling, if you have the ability to roll over, man, it's a life skill. It can save you. Go for it. I can see you're aching to say something, my friend.
I know you're gonna like this. So we didn't put our kids in gymnastics. We put them in judo for the same reason.
Yeah,
so
works.
They understood all that. Yeah, and so there's a thing in judo called a break fall. Yeah. Right, and it's exactly the same type of thing that you're talking about. And my son managed to break his arm doing a break fall. I was like, maybe
And that
sports
can
are not for
happen.
you, buddy. Maybe sports are not for you. You gave it a go, not quite for you. There are certain things, when I was writing the book, The Art of Batting, available now everywhere in India and England and Australia and America. I don't know where else. When I was writing the book, the one thing that I realized is there are so many subconscious things that great players know how to do that they don't know how to get other people to do. But you can push yourself to a higher level. But if your child can't do a lot of those subconscious things, there's always a limit. And you see these guys who look really good against ball machines. And the minute they face a real bowler, they don't look at the same level. And that's the thing that people can't jump. And that's from a batting perspective. You could go into many different things for bowling. Mostly with bowling, it's just like if you can handle the pain, you're halfway there. And most people can't handle the pain because it's horrible. Andy says, was Shastri a great red ball coach who didn't get white ball as well? While Dravid saw a decline in tests, but the white ball side almost invincible. A lot of these things, and me and Robbie have talked about this before, are literally about the team that you have at the time as much as anything else.
Yeah, it's so little about the coaches at that level, guys. It's like at that level, you want your coaches to make you feel motivated, and then make sure you're as well prepared as possible. Yes, there is a strategic side of it, and if you're a good strategist, then you can sit down with your captain. But at the end of the day, the captain has the final say. Right, you can mentor perhaps a young captain, but at the end of the day, the captain has the final say. So this is a captain's team more than the coach's team. So the coaches do have a role to play, but the captains have a much larger role.
Agreed. Aditya says, hey, Robbie, do you know what Varun Arun's mother tongue is? I know because I asked him the other day. It's English, right? And what other languages can you speak? I'm right, aren't I?
Me?
Yeah. No, him. For him, it's English, isn't it?
For him, for him it is. But he's Anglo-Indian, so he's got a little bit of Portuguese in him. And
so do I after a Nando's. That's not even a good joke because Nando's is actually a South African company anyway. But sorry, continue.
It is. How many languages can I speak? I can speak 6 languages, including English. So I speak 5 Indian languages and 1.
When you say you can speak 6 languages, how fluent is this? Is this how comfortable are you? Could you have a conversation with people in these other languages, or do you pick up a few things? Or
no. There are a lot more languages that I do know. Like I can understand and communicate in Telugu. I can understand not communicate in Tulu. I can understand Tulu. But I can speak English, of course, Kannada, Hindi, Tamil, Malayalam, and Kodavatak. Kodavatak is basically, my dad's from this place called Coorg in the south of India, in Karnataka. It's where most of the coffee in India is grown. So over there, they speak this language called Kodavatak. So that's another language. So that I can speak. So 5 Indian regional languages and English. But I can understand a bunch more. Bengali I can understand. Marathi I can understand because I played for KKR. So I make the effort of trying to learn the languages that I'm in the places that I visit. I lived in Mumbai for about 5 or 6 years. So I understand Marathi a fair bit. So I can communicate in Marathi. Gujarati a little bit you can understand because the Gujarati is everywhere.
Yeah, I can almost speak English. Is my main one at the moment. My mother-in-law actually. Yeah, exactly. My mother-in-law speaks quite a few languages. She's from Sri Lanka, and obviously there's a few different languages there that you need to. I think she speaks Tamil as well, obviously, but also Sinhalese. And
it's a very different Tamil. The Sinhalese speak
it is
a very different Tamil, version of Tamil.
Yeah, no. There's also because I don't know why we're getting into a Sri Lankan issue, but it is they are different Tamils altogether. So there's even different Tamils in Kandy where she's from, and different Tamils up north. So it's even a variance amongst those. Anyway,
it is.
There you go. There's your history in that. But I do remember. I don't know. So my first book was a bit nuts. Was it my first book or my second book? I can't remember. And the person who was teaching Murali's wife Sinhalese was related to someone in my wife's family, and so we sent through one of my books. So he's got like one of my really random early sweary weird cricket books. Hopefully he's never picked it up. Sudarshan says, how would Neil Wagner be a choice to bowl for your life? Here's my problem with picking Neil Wagner is that he already makes every single moment look so like hard and pained and everything else that I think he would panic me while I was watching him bowl for my life. So it's not a bad choice because we know he can break through on any pitch, right? He would just keep bowling short until someone hit the ball up in the air. I'm okay with that, but he would make it so painful on the way there, Robbie, that I don't know if I would enjoy that moment. And I want to sit back and relax on this ball.
I'm feeling so bad because I forgot someone that I would have actually loved to have picked. Curtly Ambrose.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah.
Oh, man, he would have been a handful. But Bumrah, I think, is my first choice for sure.
If you could pick a part-timer to bowl for your life.
Sachin Tendulkar.
Sachin's a good one, yeah. I was thinking Michael Bevan.
No!
But I would actually pick Craig McMillan.
You're a dead man.
I would pick Craig McMillan because Craig McMillan would just be like, I'm just going to try everything in the next 6 deliveries to save this. Like, have you ever met Craig McMillan? I think he would take this on board and he would do the best he can for me. So Craig, if you're out there, if I ever need you, I'll give you a call. Thank you very much to everyone.
The odds of a Kiwi bowling for an Aussie's life.
I think me and Craig get on pretty well. In fact, I did actually ask him to chat to me for the book and he never got back to me. So maybe he doesn't like me. So it's now possible he would not have done this. So sorry, Craig, you're back off the list. Please like, subscribe, comment, do all the things that you need to do on all of our things. If you haven't been over to my main channel in a while, we just did a huge feature on Ollie Pope, a video essay, which Robbie is desperate to go off and have a look at now. Robbie's got nothing to do, so you can see now he's looking after his family and everything else. Hi. Hi.
Hi.
You forgot me already.
Don't kick it.
But we will be back very, very soon for more Kimappa and, all the other things that we do. Goodbye.
Bye.